To truly understand North Korea, one must first come to terms with the suffocating nature of its isolation, a reality that is both physical and psychological, shaping every aspect of daily life. The country stands as one of the most secretive and closed-off societies on Earth, where the outside world is not just distant, but almost entirely erased from the collective consciousness. 26 million people live behind a curtain of silence, cut off not just by politics, but by a total absence of outside information. The barriers are not only at the borders, but in every home, every school, and every conversation. The sense of separation is so complete that even the idea of another way of life is almost unimaginable for most. For most, the world beyond is a myth, filtered and rewritten by the state. News from outside is rare, and when it does appear, it is carefully crafted to reinforce the regime's narrative. The Kim dynasty's portraits watch over every living room, a constant reminder of who controls the truth. There's no global internet, only a closed intranet, a digital wall that keeps the world out and the people in. Computers are relics, stripped of connection, used only for state-approved tasks. For students, the promise of technology is hollow, limited to what the regime allows. TV and radio are pure propaganda, broadcasting a single voice, a single story. Newspapers are filled with endless praise for the Kim dynasty, and every headline is a lesson in loyalty. There is no room for dissent, no space for alternative viewpoints. Travel is forbidden for nearly everyone. Reality is what the regime allows you to see. The borders are not just lines on a map, but iron barriers that keep families apart and dreams contained. Even within the country, movement is tightly controlled and curiosity is discouraged. This isolation shapes every thought and dream, forging a unique insular identity. From childhood, citizens are taught to see the world through the regime's eyes, to participate in mass rallies and collective activities that reinforce unity and obedience. Global events are twisted or hidden, leaving citizens vulnerable to manipulation and bound together by shared seclusion. Information is a precious commodity, often whispered in secret, and the truth is always uncertain. Trust is dangerous, and even children learn to guard their words. Families speak in hushed tones, always aware that a careless remark could have devastating consequences. Suspicion is a way of life, and privacy is a luxury few can afford. In North Korea, the only window to reality is the one the regime builds, and it's always tightly shut. The world outside remains a distant rumor, and the people inside are left to navigate a reality defined by secrecy, control, and the ever-present shadow of the state. The COVID-19 pandemic gave North Korea's regime the perfect excuse to seal its borders tighter than ever. In 2020, the country cut off all remaining connections to the outside world, plunging its people into deeper darkness. Informal markets and cross-border trade vanished overnight, and the state reasserted total control. Surveillance intensified, punishments grew harsher, and the fragile freedoms of the past decade disappeared. The informal economy collapsed, smugglers faced shoot-to-kill orders, and remittances from defectors were severed. Even as borders have partially reopened, fear and scrutiny remain. The regime learned it could control its people more completely than ever before. For ordinary North Koreans, life is now more precarious, and the shadow of the state looms larger than ever. Before the pandemic, Hyesan was more than just a border city. It was a lifeline for thousands. Here, the Yalu River was not just a boundary, but a fragile artery through which Chinese goods, news, and even hope flowed into North Korea. The city thrived on this connection, serving as a rare gateway to the outside world, where whispers of distant places and forbidden ideas mingled with the daily rhythm of life. Markets once bustled with energy, alive with the chatter of vendors and the clatter of makeshift stalls. Food, medicine, and everyday essentials, often smuggled across the river, gave residents a taste of resilience and a faint, persistent hope that life could improve. For many, these markets were not just places to buy and sell, but spaces to connect, share news, and dream of a better future. Now, Hyesan is silent. The once crowded markets now stand empty, their stalls abandoned. Soldiers patrol the streets with watchful eyes, and the river, once a lifeline, has become a fortified barrier, cutting the city off from the world beyond. The loss of cross-border trade has brought severe shortages. Medicine, oil, and rice have become scarce, and hunger is now a daily struggle for many families. Kitchens sit empty, and villagers wait in long lines, hoping for government rations that rarely meet their needs. Even the rice fields, once a symbol of self-reliance, now struggle under the weight of neglect and poor harvests. The ingenuity that once defined Hyesan, people making do with handmade goods, repairing what little they had, has been stifled by renewed state control. Markets are now tightly supervised, and the spirit of resourcefulness is overshadowed by fear and scarcity. Fear of harsh punishment keeps people cautious. Conversations are whispered, glances are furtive, and every interaction is weighed against the risk of drawing unwanted attention from authorities. The sense of community that once thrived here has been replaced by suspicion and anxiety. The hope that came with economic self-sufficiency has faded. In its place is a heavy sense of resignation and dependence on the state. Families gather in silence, waiting for rations, their dreams of a brighter future slipping further away with each passing day. Hyesan's silence is not the calm of peace. It is the heavy quiet of a city cut off, a window to the world slammed shut. The streets, once alive with possibility, now echo with absence. Today, Hyesan stands as a stark reminder of freedom briefly tasted, then lost. A city whose fading pulse tells the story of a nation's isolation and longing for connection. North Korea's story is one of chronic hunger, worsened by decades of economic failure and isolation. The state's promise of self-reliance is a myth. Rations are unreliable and rarely enough. The pandemic border closures crippled informal markets, sending food prices soaring and pushing basic staples out of reach. Families now face malnutrition, foraging for wild plants to survive. Women bear the brunt, spending their days in endless pursuit of food, standing in lines, tending illegal gardens, trading for scraps. Hunger erodes trust, weakens bodies, and leaves deep psychological scars. The government pours resources into its military while its people quietly starve. The empty bowl is not just a metaphor, it's a daily reality for millions. North Koreans endure a silent crisis, hidden behind propaganda and isolation. For outsiders, visiting North Korea is like stepping onto a stage-managed set. Every moment is controlled. Government minders shadow tourists, every interaction is monitored, every photo scrutinized. The tour is a showcase grand monuments, spotless subways, model farms, and department stores stocked for show. The real North Korea, its struggles, shortages, and hardship, remains hidden. Minders are both hosts and wardens, ensuring the illusion never cracks. Authentic glimpses are rare. A tired face, a darkened window, a fleeting moment of reality. The greatest revelation is not what's shown, but the immense effort to hide everything else. In North Korea, the state is everywhere. Political, personal, and almost spiritual. The Kim dynasty is revered with a devotion that borders on religious, their portraits mandatory in every home and office. Propaganda is relentless. Statues, slogans, and media all glorify the leadership. Citizens are expected to display public devotion. Tears at rallies, praise in conversation, loyalty at all times. Failing to conform can mean suspicion, investigation, or worse. The cult of personality blurs the line between belief and performance until the two are indistinguishable. The regime demands total surrender of self, replacing all other loyalties with devotion to the leader. The echoes of the great leader are embedded in every aspect of daily life, shaping identity and thought. Total control takes a heavy psychological toll. Fear, distrust, and isolation are constant companions. Children learn early to guard their words, even at home. The Inmin bond system turns neighbors into informants, eroding community and trust. People hide their true thoughts, living behind masks of loyalty. Critical thinking and curiosity are stifled. Personal suffering must be endured in silence. Yet the desire for connection persists. Secret friendships, smuggled media, and small acts of defiance offer fleeting relief. A foreign film or whispered conversation becomes a lifeline to another world. These quiet rebellions are proof that the human spirit, though battered, refuses to be extinguished. For some, the hardships of daily life in North Korea become so overwhelming that the thought of staying is more terrifying than the risks of leaving. Food shortages, constant surveillance, and the ever-present fear of punishment for even minor infractions push many to the brink. In these moments, defection becomes not just a choice, but the only hope for a future beyond oppression. Escaping means risking everything, family, safety, and life itself, for a future they can barely imagine. The decision to defect is agonizing, as it often means leaving loved ones behind, knowing they may never see them again. Every step toward the border is a step into the unknown, driven by a desperate longing for freedom. The journey is perilous. Fortified borders, shoot-to-kill orders, and the constant threat of capture. Armed guards patrol the frontiers, and the landscape itself is treacherous, with rivers to cross and mountains to traverse. Many are caught and sent back, facing brutal punishment or even execution. In China, defectors are hunted, forced into hiding, or trafficked into forced labor or marriage. Without legal protection, they live in constant fear of being discovered and repatriated. Many are exploited by human traffickers, while others must rely on the kindness of strangers to survive. The path to freedom is long, dangerous, and often traumatic, guided by brokers and missionaries who risk their own lives. These underground networks offer a lifeline, but the journey can take months or even years, moving from safe house to safe house, always looking over their shoulders. Defectors carry guilt for those left behind, knowing their families may face punishment. The emotional toll is immense as they struggle with the pain of separation and the uncertainty of their loved one's fate. Their stories are ones of resilience, loss, and the impossible choices forced by circumstance. Each survivor's journey is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure and hope, even in the darkest of times. The recent surge in defections reveals growing desperation inside North Korea. As conditions worsen, more people are willing to risk everything for a chance at a better life, no matter how uncertain the outcome. Each escapee brings with them a piece of the truth, challenging the regime's narrative with their lived reality. Their voices, once silenced, now echo across borders, reminding the world of the ongoing struggle for freedom and dignity. Despite overwhelming control and hardship, North Koreans are not just victims. They are survivors. Hope is found in small acts: a mother finding extra food, a friend sharing a secret, a youth listening to forbidden radio. The rise of markets and the influx of foreign media have planted seeds of independence and curiosity. Stories and remittances from defectors offer proof that another life is possible. These connections inspire quiet dreams of change and reunion. The future of North Korea rests with its people, their endurance, adaptability, and hope. The desire for a normal life, free from hunger and fear, remains unextinguished. Even in darkness, hope quietly waits for its chance to burn bright.